Presidential elections get all the hype, the non-stop news coverage, the billion-dollar campaigns. But what if I told you there's another election, a high-stakes political battle for the soul of the country that happens every 2 years, and on average, a staggering 60% of American voters just stay home? This is the story of the midterm elections, the political showdown that arguably has a bigger and more direct impact on your daily life than who sits in the Oval Office. They're called midterms because they happen at the halfway point of a president's term, acting as a national report card on their performance. But they are so much more than that. Today, we're going to uncover why these off-year elections are such a massive deal, why so few people show up, and how they hold the power to change the course of a nation. Let's dive in. So, what exactly is up for grabs during the midterms? A lot. We're talking about a massive shift in the balance of power in Washington, D.C. First, every single seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. That's 435 separate races across all 50 states. Their term is only 2 years long, so every midterm is a complete reset. Then, you have the Senate. About a third of the 100 Senate seats are at play. That's another 33 or 34 high-stakes races. And why does this matter so much? Because the party that controls Congress has as much, if not more, power than the president. Congress writes the laws. They pass the spending bills that decide where your tax money goes. They approve, or block, the president's nominees for the Supreme Court. And on the rare occasion a president commits a crime, it's Congress that has the power to impeach. This isn't just political games. This is the machinery of government, and the midterms decide who gets the keys. You might be wondering why this complicated, staggered system. Well, we have to go back to 1787 to the Constitutional Convention, where the Founding Fathers designed this political blueprint. For the House of Representatives, the debate was fierce. Some wanted a one-year term to keep politicians on a very tight leash, directly accountable to the people, just like in the old colonial legislatures. Others argued that was too short. To get anything done in a complex federal government, they compromised on a 2-year term, short enough for accountability, long enough to be effective. The Senate was designed differently. Senators get long 6-year terms to provide stability and continuity, to be a steadying hand that might serve under 2 different presidents. But the founders also worried. They didn't want senators to get too chummy and conspire for sinister purposes. Their solution? They broke the Senate into 3 classes, so that a third of the seats are up for election every 2 years. It's a constant reshuffling of the deck to keep power in check. But the midterms are not just about Washington, D.C. In fact, the politicians who will likely have the greatest impact on your day-to-day life are also on this ballot. We're talking about 36 states electing their governors. We're talking about thousands of seats in state legislatures, the people who decide state laws on everything from education to healthcare. In the 2022 midterms, for example, over 600 state legislative seats were up for grabs. That's 84% of all state legislative seats in the country. And it gets even more local. Mayors, city council members, local school boards, county coroners, yes, even the coroner. Not to mention statewide ballot measures, where you vote directly on laws about taxes, marijuana legalization, and more. All those lawn signs you see in your neighborhood, a lot of them are for the midterms. So, with all this power on the line, you'd think turnout would be huge, right? Wrong. It's shockingly low. From 1972 to 2016, the average turnout for midterms was a miserable 39.3%. The 2018 midterms were a rare exception, hitting 53%, largely because the polarizing nature of then-President Trump energized voters on both sides. But generally, the trend holds. And who does show up matters. In general, midterm voters tend to be older, whiter, and more educated than voters in a presidential election. In recent decades, this has often given an advantage to Republican candidates, as Republican voters have historically been more likely to show up for midterms by an average of 3 percentage points. Non-white voters, for example, consistently make up a smaller share of the electorate in midterms compared to presidential years. There's a fascinating and incredibly consistent trend in American politics. Midterms are almost always bad news for the party in the White House. It's called the midterm penalty. Since 1946, in all but 3 midterm elections, the president's party has lost seats in Congress. The conventional theory is that it's a referendum on the president's performance. The data backs this up. When a president's approval rating is below 50%, his party loses an average of 36 seats in the House. Above 50%, the average loss drops to just 14. There are other theories, too. The coattail effect suggests that a popular president helps their party's candidates win during their election, but that effect is gone 2 years later. Another theory, negative voting, shows that people who are angry with the president are more motivated to vote than people who are happy with him, skewing the results. So the midterm elections are this complex brew of historical design, local impact, and the national mood. They are a powerful, often overlooked force in American politics. And here's the most critical takeaway: that shockingly low turnout means your individual vote is mathematically more powerful. When 6 out of 10 of your neighbors stay home, your voice in the ballot box gets amplified. It's a chance to directly shape Congress and your local community. So, the next time the midterms roll around, remember the immense power at stake, a power that the majority of voters might just be leaving on the table. What's the most surprising thing you learned about midterm elections today? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped you understand this crucial part of democracy, please give it a like, subscribe for more deep dives, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Thanks for watching, and be a voter.